Hi everyone, welcome back to my Flosstube. My name is Rachel, this is Lemonade Stitching, and today is my February 2026 wrap up. If you haven't seen already, I actually posted an extra Flosstube this month. So I did a 2-week update for the first half of February, and it was kind of a Valentine's Day special. I did all projects that were pink or red or had like hearts or love or whatever involved in the pattern. So I posted that about 2 weeks ago, and so this is just going to be my update for the second half of February. A couple of the projects are the same. I think I worked on maybe only one project is the same that I worked on for that video, and then the rest are other whips and a new start that you've seen before. And then after I go through all my cross stitch, I have some Facebook de-stash haul because I did some damage there, and then I've got some knitting and yarn haul as at the end that we'll talk about. I took a trip to San Diego, so I got some yarn on that trip, and I'll just talk about like kind of cross stitching and traveling and what I like to do crafty wise when I travel. So without further ado, we will jump on into the video. So the last couple of weeks, I really have not been feeling inspired by my whips, to be honest. None of them were like calling to me, and I was having a really hard time picking what I wanted to work on. And I just was like, none of these are that exciting, but I was having kind of decision paralysis, choosing one versus starting a new project versus should I just UFO something. I didn't necessarily want to start a bunch of new projects and like up my whip list without getting rid of some projects, and so I was just kind of stuck in that weird little space right now. And so the last week, about weekish, after I got home from my trip to San Diego, I decided to pick one whip that I really wasn't feeling and just knock it out, get it finished, and that is Modern Pop Art Strawberry by Box and Fox. So I stitched this with 2 strands of the Called For DMC on 18 count white Aida, and I did crop the pattern, so the original pattern has maybe like 2 more rows of strawberries, 1 or 2 more rows, and it's like a rectangular size, but I cropped it to be a square, and I'm really happy this is done. It had quite a bit of stitching left, but it's not very many colors, and I was able to color complete and get it done. I don't know what about this wasn't enjoyable. I think it was just a combination of the Aida. Stitching 2 strands on it was not super fun. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if my needle was too big or what, but this would have been 3 in June, and so I'm really happy to have it done. This was one of my first starts for the Strawberry Moon Sal by Marjorie Maid, and now it will be a project bag for this, the 3rd year of that sal. So I'm really happy with that. Happy to have it done and check it off as a finish. Like I said, I'll turn it into a project bag, and that'll be great. So that is Modern Pop Art Strawberry. Was not expecting to get that done. I knew I wanted to get it done this year because it's been long enough and I don't like it, so why would I keep it on the list? But I was not expecting to get the inspiration to finish it this month, so that was good. I had one other finish in the last 2 weeks, and that is Small Token by Blackbird Designs. This is my February chart for my year of blackbirds that I'm doing. I'm working my way through my Blackbird Design stash, and I've chosen one project to start each month. So far, I've finished both of the projects that I've started, but that's only because I've chosen 2 really small charts to start with. So I'm really happy with this one. Again, with most of these charts, I am pulling colors from stash, so I'll put up a cover photo. I didn't bring the pattern up here with me. I'll bring up a photo of it so you can see the original chart versus what I did. Tried to stay pretty true to colors there. This chart I only used 5 colors, so I'll list them all for you, and then I have a graphic that as soon as I take a picture of this, which will hopefully be today, it'll be up on Instagram if you want it to use in the future. So for this chart, I had to pick 2 pinks, a light and a dark. So I picked Classic Colorworks Clay Pot and Gentle Arts Weathered Barn, and those were my dark and light pink. And then for my bird, I chose Chocolate Cream Pie by by Classic Colorworks. And then Ye Old Gold, which honestly might have been the called for. This is another classic color works. And that is only used in like 2 little spots. Right here on the flower bud and right here in this heart. So if you don't have a gold and you're stitching this, you could just leave it out or use a DMC or something. But I had it in my stash already, so I pulled that. And then the green for the stems and the leaves, I used DMC 3012. So that is that. I've got my initials and the year, 2026. And I'm happy with how that turned out. I'm not planning on FFOing any of these blackbirds just yet. That'll be a different adventure for a couple months from now, I think. Okay, that is both of my finishes. Now let's go to 2 projects that are kind of like monthly goal stitches that I have for the year. First up is The Bride by Lavender and Lace. I restarted this after starting it last year and not liking the fabric. I restarted it on 32 count Beachcomber Soft by Color and Cotton. I am absolutely obsessed. I made a lot of progress this month. And here it is. My goal is to stitch about 10% a month and get this done by my anniversary on October 17th. So that is how she's coming out, and I'll fold it and get closer for you. The veil around, or the circle of flowers I think is done now. It's been a couple weeks since I've looked at the chart, but I'm pretty sure this circle of flowers around her is basically done. Started on her dress, brought her sleeve down, did her little bouquet here, and she's just looking phenomenal. Other than the fabric, I'm stitching this with all the called for floss. I did the skin 1/1, which is definitely worth it. It's a pain, but it's worth it. And I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy I chose to restart this project. Definitely worth the time and effort that it took, because this color complements her so well. So this is an overview of the fabric. She'll be kind of big. I should have a tiny bit of extra down at the bottom, I think. I think I've reached the... Have I reached the vertical halfway? I don't remember. You'll see when I finish the project if I've reached the halfway point. But yeah, so that is The Bride by Lavender and Lace. I am stitching this with my friend Ashley from Ashley X Stitches. She is doing, I think The Wedding is what it's called, by Lavender and Lace, which is just another bridal wedding themed chart by Lavender and Lace. I think I've said that 4 times in the last 30 seconds. And we're gonna have the same anniversary actually. So I restarted and she started hers in January, and we're just kind of stitching them together. I need to text her and show her my progress because I have not sent her a photo in a while. But we're just kind of cheering each other on and working on those together throughout this year. My other monthly goal piece that I have is Baldaquin Birdies, which is the 2025 stitch along from Modern Folk Embroidery. This one I just made a goal since I talked to you last, and I'll tell you about it once I show you the progress. So this is where I'm at in the project. Sorry, I'm still kind of sick, and it makes it even harder to talk than normal, which I already kind of stumble over my words, but anyway, this is how Baldaquin Birdies is looking. I spent most of my time focusing on this vase down here and getting that filled in, and then I did a little bit of floral motif over here. So I'm really happy with this project. It's stitched on 40 count flax and using 1/2 Gentle Arts Witching Hour. And yeah, as far as goals for this, I was looking at the numbers, and my new goal is to stitch about 1,000 stitches a month to finish it by the end of the year. We've got just, how does math work? Just over 10,000 stitches, like 10,200 or something. But since February is a short month, and with the traveling and stuff, I did not want to like hold myself to a goal this month. So we're starting in March. We'll get to 9,000 by the end of March, 8,000 by the end of April, etc., and finish it by the end of the year. So that is Baldaquin Birdies. This was one of my travel projects along with Pop Art Strawberry. I know some people don't like to travel with 40 count, but I traveled with this a lot in 2025, and that's honestly where most of the work came from on this, I think, was traveling. And I just find this fabric pretty easy to stitch on. I can stitch on it in hand as well as in a hoop. It's only one color, one strand of floss, which I think is really easy when traveling. You don't have to manage very much. So yeah, so I really like having this as one of my travel projects. It also doesn't take up too much room in a project bag, so I can put a couple of projects in there. And yeah, so those are my thoughts on that travel project. The last whip I pulled out over the last 2 weeks was Be True by Fancy That. This is another project I started earlier this month for my Valentine's special. And I am just stitching this on 14 count oatmeal Aida with the am I stitching this with call for? No, I am not. Ugh, and I haven't written down yet what floss I'm using. I didn't bring any of my project bags up here today, so I don't have the names of the two flosses that I'm using. I think the only floss I changed in this is the light pink. But if you want to know for sure, you'll have to check my last Flosstube because I didn't write it down. Anyway, I'm stitching it with 2 strands of floss over one on this 14 count oatmeal Aida. The black and the white and the skin tone are DMC, and the red and the light pink are over dyes. I think the red, no, just check the other Flosstube or send me a message and I'll look because I don't remember what either of those are. But this was the 3rd and final travel project that I had on my trip to San Diego. Again, 14 count Aida, pretty big sections of block stitching on this. So it was an easy travel project, could be stitched in hand or in the hoop. So that is that. This has less than 900 stitches left. I don't plan on keeping this out though. I'll probably put it away. Even though it's not a big chart, I'm ready to work on some other stuff, I think. But yeah, that's a nice one. I do have heart buttons. I'm in the market for a ladybug button to go in her dress here. Otherwise, I'll just stitch one in, but I left it blank just in case I find one. And yeah, so that is Be True. That is it for whips and progress that I made in the last 2 weeks. I think I ended February with about 10,000 stitches, so happy to stay. That's kind of my goal for stitching, is about 10,000 stitches in a month, so I'm happy with that. I want to talk about plans, because I have a couple of plans for March. So, of course, I'm going to try and keep working on the Bride and Baldaquin Birdies to keep my progress on those. I want to do at least 10% more in the Bride and then 1,000 stitches in Baldaquin Birdies. The other 2 things I have to work on are Woolamina, which is again one of the charts I started earlier in February. So this is what that is looking like. It's pretty close to a finish with the exception I just need to do my sheep here in the middle, I think, and like pick one more color for my color conversion. And I was thinking about doing whisper thread, and so I'm going to try it. I was at the LNS the other day and I picked up 2 colors of whisper. I got W89, which is like a cream, and then W113, which is like a light brown, light tan. And I got both of these because I'm hoping to layer some of the tan under the white in some areas, because the sheep is actually called for in like a dirty off-white kind of over-dyed, and so I thought this could help replicate that look of like the over-dyed variegation. So I'm gonna play around with it, but my thought right now is that I can just do like some partial sections, or I do the first leg of the stitch in the tan and then go over the whole thing with the second leg of the stitch in the cream. So that's my thought for now. We'll see how it goes. I did pick these out from memory, so I didn't actually have the chart with me, so I just had to guess. So I think they'll work, but you'll see in my next Flosstube if they worked out or not. Okay, last plan is my Blackbird for March for my year of Blackbirds. This one I'm really excited about. I'm probably definitely gonna start it today, and that is Quaker Garden by Blackbird Designs, obviously. And it's a really nice spring pattern, green fabric, lots of fun motifs. So I'm pumped about this one. I got, let's see, 36 count agave, which is just like a solid Zweigart color. And then I think I got the called for floss for this one, to be honest. I haven't even like undone the little skeins yet. So I've got 4 Weeks Dye Works colors and 33 DMC. So those are my 5 colors on my green fabric, and I think it'll look really nice. I was like making notes and trying to do a color conversion last year, like September-ish. I wanted to start this for sampler September, but I just could not make it work with what I had, and I was like, this project deserves the called for. So that is that. I'm very excited to get started on it today. The fabric that it calls for is Garden State Java by R&R. So I did sub the fabric, but I think it's a good sub. I think it'll be fine. So that is the Blackbird of the month. It's in this product bag that I made. It's been in this bag for 6 months, so I'm excited to finally start it. Like I said, I do have some haul. These are all charts that I bought secondhand on Facebook and eBay. I feel like there was something else that I got, to be honest with you, but it's not in this pile, so you don't get to see it today because I don't even know what it is. But the first thing I found was Leisure Arts Christmas patches. I'm so excited for this. I saw this in Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching. It was like right after Christmas, one of their weekly updates when they changed their wall out. They did a slideshow of all the projects that they previously had up for Christmas, and this is one of the charts they had, and I was like, that's so cute. I'm so sad it's out of print. And so I was like looking on eBay and wasn't really finding anything and just kind of let it be, and then literally 2 weeks later I was on Facebook and someone had posted it. So I got Christmas patches, which is super cute. So maybe that'll be a start either in July or December this year. But just look at that Santa. And it's in really good condition. This leaflet is like in perfect condition. So that's awesome. I'm definitely going to have to re-chart this because Leisure Arts pamphlets like this are in full color. And some of the colors and symbols are just very low contrast. So I'll probably rechart it so it's easier to work on. But yeah, this is the booklet that it's in if you are interested. It's out of print, but just keep an eye out for it. Okay, second thing I got was another booklet, and this is Honeysuckle Manor by Blackbird Designs. Love this booklet. There's a couple samplers in here that are really, really pretty. And I'm pretty sure this one is out of print, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I don't remember if it's out of print and or available. Because I know some of the out of print charts, like there's still copies circulating in some LNSs, but let's see. Is there a date in here somewhere? 2010 is this book. In the first chart in here is a reproduction. Sorry, the cat's in here. Is a reproduction of this antique sampler. So I'm really excited. This will probably get added to my list for this year as an extra, for my year of Blackbirds because it's just gorgeous. So got a couple cute samplers and then a few smalls in here as well. Last up for my little eBay, Facebook D-stash haul is a stack of Prairie Schooler Santas. I was on eBay just kind of browsing, seeing what was up a particular day. I don't remember when exactly. And I came across some seller who had several Prairie Schooler Santas posted, and they were all listed individually, and I ended up going through his entire catalog, and I think a family member or something had passed, and so they were getting rid of a lot of their like craft supplies and charts and whatnot. So I told myself I could get 5, and I picked out my 5 favorite, and I tried to make them ones that I actually like. I don't necessarily collect Prairie Schoolers or the Prairie Schooler Santas, but I did find several that were speaking to me. So first up, I've got the 2005 Santa because he's a crafty Santa, so obviously had to get him. Literally has an embroidery hoop in the top left corner. Then I got the 2006 Santa, again, a sewing Santa. How could I not? I know a lot of us love crafts about crafts, and I am certainly one of those people. I got 1999 Santa because it's the year I was born, and it's cute, so. Then I got 2012 Santa because I just thought he was cute, and like the kids writing a letter to Santa is just adorable. I definitely have baby fever right now, and I thought this was just like a cute little, like I can picture this being out for Christmas when we have a family and they're writing their letters to Santa. So I got that one. And then my favorite one that I have been daydreaming about for months since I saw it on Annie XO Stitches and XO Needle in the Hay XO. She showed this in a reel a couple months ago, and it is the 1992 Fisherman Santa. Like, shut up. Just shut up. He is so cute. So I had to get him. Once I saw this one was available, that's what I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy some. I am gonna buy some. So, and these are all, again, in great condition, so I'm happy about that. This will probably be one of my Christmas in July starts, almost definitely. And I love him. Growing up, we would vacation in Maine, so this just kind of reminds me of that, and I love it. That is all for cross stitch content. So if you're only here for cross stitch, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the end of March with my next Flosstube update. But if you knit or are interested in hearing about my knitting, I have a few things to show you. So since we were just doing haul, I guess we'll start with my knitting haul. I got 2 skeins of yarn on my trip to San Diego. We went to Apricot Yarns. This is their Apricot Yarn and Supply. This is their little card, and I'll show you the back too, because it was a super cute little shop. It was in a really cute little area in Liberty Station. So I haven't done much research about Liberty Station yet, but it was giving off that it used to be some sort of like naval training place, and it has since turned into like a retail and arts kind of district, and you can walk around. There's a lot of grass, lots of shops, some art galleries, a theater, restaurants, grocery store. Like, it's just a really cute little area. An antique store, which was amazing. So Apricot Yarn and Supply. Had a wonderful time visiting them. And Graham was there, so I told him he could pick out a pair of yarn for socks. Socks are my like comfort zone right now. Like, it's easy. Like, I know how to just pick out a skein for that. It's really the only thing I know how to just like buy one skein for. So it's a good like travel project. So this is the skein that Graham picked out. It's like a light beige called Dare to Bear by Ba Yarn, and it's the line La Jolla. It's 100% superwash merino wool, and there's the tag. And he said he wanted something pretty neutral so that he can wear them like out and about and not feel weird about it. So light beige for him, and I was only going to get the one skein, but then I fell in love with this yellow one. So I got this for myself. This is called Summer Sun. It's the same line of yarn, just in a different color. I'll either stitch vanilla socks with this, or I was thinking it might be good for the banana socks that I stitched for my grandma, just like big chunky socks. So we'll see. I didn't get them caked up or anything because I don't know when I'm gonna cast them on, and I didn't want them like sitting in the cakes for a while. But that is my yarn haul for my trip. And then I have 3 whips. I'll start with my Valentine's socks. These are the Trompe le Monde socks, I think, from Summerly Knits in her first sock book. I started them in my last video for Valentine's Day, and since talking to you guys last, I finished the first sock. Hasn't been blocked or anything, but this is what it looks like. I'm stitching it with Malabrigo sock yarn in the color Natural and the color Fuchsia. So it is a cutie little sock, little different than how I knit my basic vanilla sock in the construction, like in the heel and the toe. So that was odd. I'm used to the Crazy Sock Lady heel flap and gusset where she's like stitch exactly this many rows, and for this sock they were like stitch it just this long, and I was like, that's weird. And then I had to stop on an opposite side. I think if I'm stitching the vanilla socks by Crazy Sock Lady, I end on the, like I end with a purl row so that I turn it and have the right side facing me, but I'm pretty sure I ended with a knit row on here and had the wrong side facing me. I don't know. Whatever it was just different, and it took my brain a minute to figure it out, and then also the decreases were at a different rate for the socks. But I think when I block it, it'll sit better and I'll feel better about it. I was having a lot of thoughts. I was like, I hate this, I'm not finishing it. Just because it's my first time knitting stripes, and like there's like a ridge here where I was carrying the yarn, and I was trying to remember to do like this jogless stripe technique, and I kept forgetting and whatever. And let me show you. I'll show you the inside. I don't know if you care. This is how my carries look. By the end, I was remembering to kind of wrap it and carry it, but I don't know. It's just a new technique, and I was getting frustrated that I wasn't perfect at it, even though like it's my first time doing it. There's no need to be perfect. Even if it's my millionth time doing it, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I worked through my mental block and got the sock done. So that's exciting. I have not cast on the other one. I don't know when I will, to be honest with you. But I did cast on a scarf. This is the reversible rivulet scarf by Pearl Soho. It was a free pattern on Ravelry, and I'll have a picture up of the like posting photo, and this is mine. So it is a pretty simple cabled scarf. Starts with 4 inches of 1x1 ribbing, and then so far I've done 3 cable rows, and so far I'm happy with it. It's been fun to do a cable and kind of just learn about that process. I'm trying to use my row counter for the first time, which is exciting. And yeah, I'm happy with it. It's a new thing. I have to learn how to like keep track of where my first row of my cable is so I can count and keep on track. So that's a whole new challenge that I'm figuring out. I had gotten pretty good at counting like basic stockinette, obviously, and now I have a new challenge, new thing to learn. But this is fun. I've only worked on it like 3 nights, I think, 2 or 3 nights, and it's all I think this is twisted rib. I don't know. I'm knitting and purling through the back loop. Everything on here is through the back loop. So is that twisted? I don't know. But it looks the same on both sides. Hence the name reversible. So that is my scarf. I have no firm plans for that other than just to have fun with it and enjoy it. I'm using 3 skeins of Malabrigo worsted. I lost the tag, but it's Malabrigo worsted in stone blue that I originally bought for a Sophie hood, and started and frogged 10 times and now have said I no longer want to make a Sophia hood. So that is my scarf. I have another knitting cast on, my final knitting whip, and I think I talked about these in one of my last floss tubes, but these are just some basic vanilla socks in this beautiful indigo color. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. And I did a 2x2 rib or cuff on these socks. So these were my travel conference project. So I did some knitting on the plane, but mostly just during the conferences. I knit on these and I think the first day of the conference I got the whole leg done because that was the busiest and longest day. And then over the next day or two I worked on my heel flap and gusset and turn. And then, I don't know, the rest of the conference and the way home I worked on the foot. So I am at the point, let's see, where am I? I think I have like 10-ish more rows to do, but again, I don't have firm plans for these. I'm torn between just finishing these socks and saving the other one for my next trip, or saving this sock for my next trip and then subsequently, you know, I don't know, we'll see. But these are my vanilla socks that I cast on. The yarn is new to me. It's Earth Yarns, and it's the color indigo. And so far it's been really nice to work with. The only thing I noticed with these that I'm a little nervous about is the dye was coming off on my fingers. So I was noticing when I was sitting in sessions and knitting and whatever, and then, you know, the session would end and I'd look down and my fingertips would be blue. So that was kind of concerning. So I'm going to have to make sure to like rinse these pretty well when I block them and make sure there's no loose dye coming out. It wasn't like getting on my clothes or anything. Like one day I wore light pants, they had white tablecloths, and it wasn't like coming off on that, but I definitely don't want to wear the socks and then my feet are blue. Or, you know, get the dye on any other garments or anything. So that's just something I'm gonna have to keep in mind with these, but it hasn't been like an issue so far. So that is that. Those are all my knitting things, all my crafty things. Like I said earlier, between traveling, I'm sick, so I'm pretty happy with the progress I got. It's a short month, you know, so you can only do so many things when you have 3 less days in the month than you usually do. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. Hope you're healthier than I am. The weather has just been insane everywhere, so already, you know, everyone gets sick in the winter, and then with the weather constantly changing, it's just a mess. But thank you all so much for watching and hearing me chat about my crafts. I really appreciate all of your support, and I will talk to you in my next video. There's blackbirds on Facebook! We pardon this interruption to check the Facebook D-stash. Okay, nothing I need.